Hello and welcome to County Board Wrap-Up, our deep dive into the big issues from this month's County Board meeting. I'm your host, Kara O'Donnell, and it's a big day here on County Board Wrap-Up. As you can see, we are officially back in person here in the studio. More on that in just a moment, but first, here's your 60-second Board Wrap-Up. After several months of work sessions and community feedback, the board voted this month to approve a community oversight board for the Arlington County Police Department. This board will provide oversight and counsel for the police department, as well as investigate citizen complaints and offer guidance and recommendations on policy. The board also approved collective bargaining for eligible county employees and approved a prevailing wage for construction contracts in the county. Several projects relating to affordable housing were also approved, including a $22.7 million loan for renovations to the Park Shirlington complex and an agreement with Amazon, which is donating a $40 million undeveloped land parcel to the county in order to facilitate affordable housing on the Crystal Houses site. And finally, the board officially approved the renaming of Route 29 Lee Highway in the county. The new name will be Langston Boulevard. You can find details on these and other actions from this month's board meeting by visiting arlingtonva.us and searching County Board. And that's your 60-second board wrap-up. When we come back, we'll be joined by our board chair, Matt DeFerranti, as well as board member Takis Karantonis for a look at the big story from the July board meeting, and that's the creation of the Community Oversight Board. Stay with us. Welcome back to County Board Wrap-Up, and this month's big story, the new Community Oversight Board for the Police Department here in Arlington. I'm joined now by Board Chair Matt DeFerranti and Board Member Takis Karantonis. Now, we had quite a bit of discussion from the public over the past few months on this issue, including a variety of public engagement sessions. But before we get into all that, let's take a few steps back. What was really the thought process that went into the idea of creating a community oversight board here in Arlington?
Sure. So over a year ago, in the weeks and months following the murder of George Floyd, Arlington wanted to take a look and really understand where are we on criminal justice and fairness. And it's appropriate because of this national challenge that we're facing. But Arlington also has its own history, and we have had a police department that has served our community well, but there are parts of our community that have felt not well served. And so we wanted to listen to our communities of color and seek to build greater trust going forward. So our manager over a year ago brought forward this police practices group with 4 subcommittees, and one of them is focused on community oversight. And so we've had an extensive process. The PPG group, as it's called, has had a ton of meetings, and this particular subcommittee, chaired by Rodney Turner, has really done a lot of additional work to bring this forward. And so we've had some initial recommendations. Those came before us in May. We advertised an ordinance, and then we had a lot of follow-up engagements, 2 work sessions, and sort of an interactive session. So all of those have led to the action that we took to stand up this Community Oversight Board. Mm-hmm. And I think we're excited about this opportunity. And I think we both need to understand it was precipitated by some very painful events. And there are residents who don't feel trust with our police department. But if we look at it as an opportunity to take the next steps to further strengthen and build trust with communities that historically haven't felt it, that's the way to look at it going forward, as a way to take that next step for our community.
Well, let's break down. There have been a lot of kind of iterations of the details of this Community Oversight Board since it was first proposed back in May. Let's break down the ideas of the main functions of the Community Oversight Board. Takis, we'll start.
Thank you. So one issue, the number one is that the Community Oversight Board is asked to provide fair, objective look on investigations that the police department is conducting, especially in sensitive things, like, for example, if there is an allegation of misconduct or there is another complaint, etc., that can come from a citizen, that can be anonymous. So there is a direct recourse to the community oversight if anybody feels that there is an issue. And this will be, so number one, there is investigatory power. This will be fully and thoroughly investigated. The board has the ability to access all documents or evidence. Actually, the to be appointed independent police auditor, who will be essentially the staff person for this board, will be contemporaneously, so at the same time, with police on the investigation. So the community oversight is happening from the point zero of an investigation, can be there. And the second thing is the board, if there is still an issue, which we believe it won't be very often the case. Actually, we want this never to be the case, but if needed, the board has full subpoena authority. So they can subpoena the records, the evidence, all the testimony that the oversight board needs to get to a conclusion. And at the end, the oversight board can and will issue conclusions on their findings, and this will be reported to the county board, and the county board, who we are the elected representatives of the people in Arlington, we will make a determination. I should also say the motivation for that comes from both sides. Not only the community at large and those communities that have been more vulnerable to policing and we have been, more police than others, but also I have to underscore the willingness and the collaboration of the police department itself. So this couldn't have been accomplished without every stakeholder, including the elected officials, county government, community, and the police department working together to get it done.
Now that the COB is officially approved, it's been a very long process, as Matt, you mentioned a moment ago. Where do we go from here? Where do we go for the rest of 2021 in terms of, establishing this board, appointing this board getting to work?
Sure. So the county board will work with our manager there are two things two groups of individuals we need to pull together. We need to hire an independent auditor monitor, and we need to vet community applications and appoint the 7 members. Well, it's 7 voting members and 2 retired, 3-year space between their last law enforcement job, and then, so this would be 2 additional non-voting, but essentially experts, technical experts that could help us to be the last 2 members of the Community Oversight Board. So we need to find those people and have a fair process with community input and to fill those spots. And we discussed how important it is that the Oversight Board have people whose experience is particularly critical to this. We anticipate a large number of those individuals will be individuals of color, perhaps organizations that have returning citizens, and so we need to find those people. And there's also then going to be some work on a memorandum of understanding to work out procedures and processes. But the big picture, Takis referred so well to what was the main part of our discussion was what is right for individual complaints with respect to more or less officer conduct. There's a whole other piece. There's about 9 items in the Oversight Board's jurisdiction that would include in sort of understanding policy and practice. A great example is traffic stops. That was a subject that the PPG worked on, but we think that this oversight board can really help look at those sorts of issues. And frankly, that is something that the police chief has said, has expressed such an openness, as have our police, to saying, let's take a look at those to see, is there a disproportionality between those stopped and the demographics of our community. So I think there is so much that is going to be part of this oversight board's work, and it is a regular, transparent, and accountable way of engaging on this issue. This is not about the past and what we might not have been and have not been. This is about what we can be as a community, and the purpose of the Oversight Board is to help us get there on a number of policy and complaint-related issues that are linked to our criminal justice system. Because it is, if you look at our jail population, it's a fact that it is not reflective of our population as a whole. And we're Arlington, so we want to do better, and on racial equity, we must. And this is one way we're going to.
Anything to add, Takis, on just kind of an overall goals of the COB and where we go from here?
If I had to add one thing, is that the COB, the Community Oversight Board, is a place of where we really bring people together. It's not a battlefield, it's not a dividing place. It's a place of community. Community oversight is about improving on Arlington, on our community. And I believe, and this is why everybody agrees to have one. Everybody agreed to have one. So I am definitely positive, and I expect that this independence, the way the board will do the investigation on a complaint, that is fundamentally comes from an independent point of view. Fair means independent, means impartial. And this is why their findings will be also far better accepted and digested, and they will contribute to lasting improvements. This is the outcome we want to see. We never denied that we have issues with racial discrimination and other types of issues. This is not the only type of misconduct that exists. So the board will definitely bring us a very big step forward. This is a real great improvement.
All right. Well, of course, there was plenty more to discuss from this month's board meeting, and that's where we're turning to you, the viewers. We're going to answer your questions on some of the hot issues from this month's board meeting and let you know how you can participate when we come right back. Welcome back to County Board Wrap-Up. I'm Kara O'Donnell, and I'm here with County Board Chair Matt DiFerranti, as well as Board Member Takis Karantonis. Now, this is the segment where we open things up to you, the viewers, by taking your questions submitted via email. And of course, if you have questions for us on the actions of the board meeting, just email us at countyboardwrap@arlingtonva.us, and we will get to as many of those questions as we can. But first, let's talk the renaming of Lee Highway to Langston Boulevard. Of course, we talked about that proposal last month here on the show, but now that it's been formally adopted, we have some questions on what's next, what this means for residents along the corridor, for businesses along the corridor. What do they need to do moving forward?
Well, it's going to take some time to make sure that we change all the street signs. That will be a process. I think we set out about a year time frame, year-plus time frame for that will occur. But we will engage with businesses over the coming months, as we have been, to lay out for them the next steps and help make sure that they're aware. It will take time. We recognize that changing address has some challenges, but the benefits, I am so confident, of Langston Boulevard will come. It's first boulevard, not highway. It will be a place that people are more attached to. And it will also be, the more we continue to learn, at least I continue to learn about John M. Langston, what an extraordinary figure. He may be the first elected African American in United States history, having been elected in Ohio. But then his work for the Freedmen's Bureau after the Civil War, this is a great, and we're starting to see, I think the Washington Post mentioned how it was a fitting name. We're starting to see some of the benefits of what was a solid process with a large number of community stakeholders engaged. The Lee Highway Alliance will change its name, but it will engage with our businesses, as will the county, as we work to help with the changing of the signs, but also the next steps on helping businesses know how they can help. We already know that the U.S. Post Office mail will continue to go, no problem. So it was very exciting to get to vote on it, even if we didn't have a lot of speakers, because we frankly didn't have but one in opposition throughout the whole process. Mm-hmm. So it'll take some time, weeks, months, and perhaps over a year, but we are going to get there, and we're going to make this change in a great way. So.
But in answer to the residents' question, they don't need to worry about immediately changing all their letterhead or
Yes.
anything. The mail will still get delivered.
Life will go on.
Life will go on.
Specifically mail, and so I appreciate you getting right to the heart of the residents' question.
That's right. Now, we did also have a couple of questions coming in over the agreement with Amazon and then the land parcel donation at Crystal Houses. What does this actually mean for the affordable housing goals for the county?
Well, this is also a hugely good news story, and I want to kind of share the good news that we get to share with our residents. Go ahead, Takas. I know both of us are thrilled about this.
So we know that Amazon has a community investment fund for housing, and this is a significant amount of money, over 300, I believe, the $380 million that are invested here, and it started a few months ago with providing a very low interest loan to the Washington Housing Conservancy to buy Crystal Houses 5 and 6, I believe. So these are down along Richmond Highway on 22nd Street. These are two very big apartment buildings. And now the surrounding land, the surrounding parcel, has been bought by Amazon for $40 million and has been given to us under the condition that the county finds development partners to develop at least 550 affordable housing units there, out of which about a quarter, a little bit more than a quarter, should be affordable to households earning less than 50% of the area median income, which are, the 50% is, these are households, a household of two, it's less than $40,000 a year. So these are really targeted towards our lower income households. And the rest will be 80% of area median income. So this is a significant investment. It brings us forward. To put it, though, in a frame, this would be about a year's worth of the number of units that our market should produce in order to be compliant with our housing goals. Mm-hmm. It's actually 2 years worth of what we have been achieving every year. So this is significant just in one block down in National Landing.
They have given with a condition, which is keep it affordable and make it affordable for those most in need. Taken together, the $381 million that is in the broader Crystal House area and this $40 million gift with the condition of affordability really helps us 1 to 2 years of what we need countywide, but it makes a huge dent in what we need to do in that part of the county to stay affordable. And so it is these two together, this is a game changer. We're thrilled. We know we have to keep working, but in answer to the residents' question, it helps us both in that area of the county and with affordability both for workforce and those working to get in to the middle class. And so it's a thrilling step forward for us. Not the end. We got a lot more work to do, but a thrilling step forward.
And in addition to that, I should say, this is also investment in the right place, because this is one of the most, the places in Arlington that are under most pressure, but it's also a place that can support this kind of housing with transportation, with services, etc. This is all really coming together in a very good way. That's important. That actually makes it even more precious.
Absolutely. And we did have a lot of mail coming in about the CIP, specifically about sustainability measures. And I know you as the board gave the manager some guidance specifically relating to sustainability. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We had two pieces of guidance for the manager. One relates to the issue of electric buses. We have 2025 and 2035 community energy plan goals, and to reach those goals, we're going to have to shift from our current natural gas fleet to electric. And natural gas is better than diesel, but electric is the standard that we have to get to. And there's what we said is for 2024, and then further for 2025 when we have our bus maintenance facility come online, we're going to be moving towards electric buses as the buses that we purchase. And we had some language in there that reflects the reality that we have to work with staff and the realities of the market, but we are making a commitment to moving in this direction. And this is really in response to a number of advocates and a number of residents who said, we've got to work on this, we've got to do this. And so that is a huge first step. There's also some really important planning guidance also with respect to sustainability that I don't know if you want to talk about, Takis, some of those.
Sure. Two things. First of all, anything we do and any guidance we give about electrification of our own county fleet during the normal budget and the annual operation budget, and now the guidance on electrifying our bus fleet, all this is not just to reduce the fossil fuel dependency of our vehicles. This also works for every citizen, because the infrastructure that has to be in place, the infrastructure we have to study for and implement, is actually the infrastructure that will serve everybody else's electrification efforts. So there is a real deal benefit from the county government leading with sustainability improvements for every single one in Arlington, every single resident. Then it's the guidance of actually presenting budgets and presenting our capital improvement plans. And next year we'll go back to normal. This year's is a bridge plan. Is actually to be able to report that each and every investment we make, how does this investment improves on, advances on our sustainability goals. This is climate emergency response we're talking here. And climate emergency response has to materialize in specific action, and we have to be able to report how each and every measure we take, each and every allocation of money, taxpayers' money, helps to advance on these goals. This is what the essence of the guidance we gave to the county manager, to think how we do that.
For moving forward. And of course, then we would be remiss if we didn't talk about several actions that were taken at this board meeting with regards to labor and wages. We had a lot of folks show up at the board meeting in support of these measures, both collective bargaining and a prevailing wage. Can you just give us why the board felt it was important to take these actions at this time?
Well, I think that as we discuss the importance of equity and an inclusive economy, collective bargaining and prevailing wage are key steps. You know, we don't always get applause when we finish an item, but this item, not just last month when we talked about it, but this month we got applause, and I actually felt good that it was both bringing in as partners, as more full partners, our staff, those who serve Arlington County, both public safety, non-public safety, and I think that a collaborative approach, a partnership, as we have done with collective bargaining, is really going to serve the interests of our community as a whole best over the medium to long term. And that is, even in the short term, we think we need to pay and value our employees well. And we have a history of doing that, but this puts in a process and some ways to make sure we do it on collective bargaining. And prevailing wage is also a victory because on our projects, we should be paying, that we bid, we should be paying people a fair wage to get here. And all of that is done while seeking to preserve a broadly strong customer service ethos that we have in Arlington County. We may not be perfect, but customer service is a hallmark of what we've done, and I think collective bargaining will help because we have retained, of course, some protections so that the manager and the management can, if there's an individual or if there's a case where someone's not doing what they need to be doing, we retain that. But overall, we have that cooperative framework via collective bargaining and prevailing wage. So I know we're both pretty thrilled about it.
Well, with that, we will come to an end to this month's County Board wrap-up. Remember, if you have questions for us after a board meeting, let us know. Contact us on social media or email us at countyboardwrap@arlingtonva.us about an issue that's important to you. We'll try to answer your questions right here. Remember, you can always find out about these topics and more by visiting the County Board website at arlingtonva.us and searching County Board. Just a reminder, there's no August board meeting, so we'll see you back here in September for the very latest on these important board actions and more. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to Takas. We will see you then.